is Dragon Ball.
Hello, welcome to the Gaming Lounge podcast, episode 6. I'm your host, Sebastian, and once again, I'm joined by Dory. How's everything going, Dory?
Doing okay. Could be better given recent news that we'll talk about.
Yeah, so how's been your break? I know you had a week off, so how's that been?
Oh, it was lovely. I had spring break, not spring break, winter break. That was really nice. I got to visit a friend in Boston, and we went to a tabletop gaming cafe, and then we also went to a Japanese store where I was able to get a Chainsaw Man little keychain for my purse from one of those gotcha machines. So that was fun. And then other than that, a lot of Final Fantasy VII and a lot of watching wrestling. So, pretty much everything I want to do in life.
Nice. I got about one more week left until spring break, and I'm off for a week. And then after that, it's like 2 months of school left, and then I'm in the summer. So
Wow.
But the unfortunate thing about spring break is once it's over, it's like there's no more breaks, no more holidays. It's just straight up school for getting the kids ready for the tests and the big state tests and all that. So yeah. So unfortunately today, on this episode, we're going to talk about the passing of Akira Toriyama, who has been a huge influence on both of our lives and the lives of millions and millions of people around the world. Apparently he passed away on March 1st, but it wasn't announced till a week later, which is not surprising because his life has always been very private. All the pictures of him are from like the 80s and 90s. He's rarely out in public. So this was a monumental, saddening news. Like, it just came out of nowhere. He was only 68. A lot of our biggest manga artists, like the creator of Berserk and Yu-Gi-Oh! And Dragon Ball, have all passed away before the age of 70. So they've died young. Dory, where were you when this happened? Like did it just like come out of nowhere for you? Like, did you see it on Twitter or something?
Yeah, so I was playing Final Fantasy, and I was checking a wrestling Discord I'm part of, and I looked in the general chat, and I saw the official message, the first message that I think everybody saw about Toriyama's passing, and I was stunned. I don't think, to preface this, I haven't been hit this hard by a celebrity death since, I want to say, MCA from Beastie Boys, because Beastie Boys has such a special place in my heart, and I never got to see them live. And I grew up on the Beastie Boys. My mom loved them. My dad, although I barely knew him, also loved them. And Robin Williams before MCA. I'll add Akira Toriyama to that. This hit me incredibly hard, and I'll talk more about that later. But yeah, that's where I was when it happened, and I stayed up a little longer than I was originally going to, just because I don't know, I needed to sort through my feelings for a second. I legitimately almost called out of work because I was that emotionally distraught from it, because it's just
Yeah, I've been more into celebrity like that since Kobe died in 2020 and Michael Jackson in 2009. So he's in a rare company. I wasn't sobbing or anything like that, but I was very, very sad. I mean, he's had a huge influence on my life. Dragon Ball is my favorite manga anime series of all time. It's the reason why I love anime. It's the reason why I love Japanese culture. It introduced me to Japanese culture and anime on Cartoon Network. Dragon Ball Z came out I want to say 1998-ish on Cartoon Network, Toonami, with the movies, The World's Strongest, Tree of Life, I think it was, or Tree of Might.
Tree of Might, yeah.
and that was original. Like that was originally like the Canadian dub. Like it wasn't the dub that we know today.
Yeah, it was the Ocean dub,
The
right?
Ocean dub, yeah. And we got Rock the Dragon, and that's like one of the greatest openings ever.
Please rise for our national anthem.
Yep, and basically they skipped right into the Namekian saga, like they skipped the Raditz, the whole Saiyan saga, and then they released that later on. So we used to get the same like reruns of the same episodes over and over again. We'll get to like a certain point on Namek where like it would stop and then reset again. You remember that?
Yep, I do remember that. One of my first memories as a kid, like when I was like I think I was 7. I remember I was home from the I was sick with a cold or something, maybe the flu, and I turned on TV and they were playing the Namek Saga. I think I had already been watching Dragon Ball Z, but I don't know why, but this memory sticks with me as something that was really special to me. Just like Seb, I grew up on Toonami. I wouldn't have gotten into anime or Japanese culture or wanting to go to Japan at all. Excuse me. If it wasn't for Toriyama, if it wasn't for Dragon Ball, a lot of the best anime in the last 10, 20 years wouldn't have happened without Dragon Ball Z. It's really no understatement at all to say that Toriyama has influenced an entire generation, possibly at this point 2 generations of artists and creators, and especially for manga and anime. But even outside of that, I mean, you see his influence everywhere. And a lot of Cartoon Network shows, they would have characters go Super Saiyan or have cool like little homages. So it's just his influence is incalculable. I mean, especially in Latin America, especially in Asia, and especially in the West. It's all over the world, really. Everybody loved Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z, and it had so many positive messages. It was the first anime I ever really got into, and I actually just rewatched it this year, which I had been rewatching it. I started with Dragon Ball, and then I eventually got to Dragon Ball Z, and I just finished Dragon Ball Z, the whole thing, this year, just like a couple months ago. So it's just, yeah, it's just wild to me that he's gone.
Yeah, I mean, Dragon Ball started with me in the '90s when my dad had, I think the movies. I think it was the movies or either the early episodes in Japanese only. And I was like, "What is this?" And then randomly it came out, it just popped out on Toonami. Okay, Dragon Ball Z, and I checked it out, and I was hooked immediately. And I also played the Super Nintendo Japanese games because my dad had an emulator of all like old games.
Oh wow!
So like I got a lot of introductions to like BoJack from the movie, Broly, and Majin Buu, and all that. I had no idea at the time who any of those characters were because it was only in Japanese and we weren't there yet. We were only in the Namekian saga. So the only person I really knew at first was like Captain Ginyu and Frieza and stuff. So it was like, who are these people? And ever since then, though, I've had everything you can imagine in Dragon Ball collectibles. I have had every action figure you can imagine. I've had costumes. I used to draw every character all the time. My friends and I always drew Dragon Ball Z characters.
That used to be so huge in elementary school. I literally like I hated drawing as a kid. I loved Dragon Ball Z so much that I started tracing like various characters. I remember tracing, especially Goku Super Saiyan 3. I thought that was the coolest shit when I was young. The surprise, it's still one of the coolest things ever. I mean, if Toriyama is not famous for, he's not famous for just one thing, but one of those things that he is famous for, I mean, the incredible styles that everybody had in Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball, just the incredible, what the kids would say fits that people have is just absolutely ridiculous looking back at it. Just so good. Even in some of the filler, for Piccolo and Goku for the driving, I know it's not even canon, but for the driving episodes,
the Fresh Prince of Namek.
The Fresh Prince of Namek, right? Yeah, I didn't like drawing as a kid. I didn't like arts and crafts, and I still don't really like drawing. But I loved Dragon Ball Z so much, and I wanted to, this is gonna show my age, but when I was in elementary school, having friends who were into anime was really rare. Like having other kids know what you were talking about and watching Toonami. Like obviously Toonami was popular, right? But anime was nowhere near as popular as it is now. And so to have other friends who was actually into it, and I was lucky enough to have a couple That was a really special thing. Now it's like I just saw a kid the other day dressed up as a Demon Slayer character in school, and like plenty of people have Demon Slayer backpacks. I put on some lo-fi Dragon Ball Z music for my students, and they were like, "Oh, that's Goku." So it's like, it's just incredible how the reach that this man has had, that man had for audiences, kids, adults, teenagers. It didn't matter.
Yeah, I mean his Dragon Ball has influenced Naruto, One Piece, Yu Hakusho, Hunter x Hunter, Demon Slayer, and so on and so forth. So he influenced generations of manga creators.
Seb showed me this Twitter post, and I hadn't even put it together. But Cloud's original outfit, the purple one, in the original Final Fantasy, is a direct homage and to Gohan Super Saiyan 2, which I never even realized. And I love that arc, and I love that character design. I never even put it together. And the Final Fantasy creator, or some of the people behind Final Fantasy or Final Fantasy VII, said it wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for Toriyama. I mean, there's so many works of art that we take for granted that Toriyama had such a huge influence of. I didn't cry initially, but when I was telling Kim about it, and I think one of the saddest parts of this for Toriyama dying at, honestly, at such a young age, especially given, how well off he probably is, or at least you would imagine. It's just no age at all to die, and just so many, even in the official original statement that they put out, said that he was in the middle of several Dragon Ball related projects, and he's never going to be able to finish those now. And yes, he does have a son, and he does have a successor who he's already picked out. And obviously, that's not the most important thing, right? The most important thing is that he died, and his friends and family are in mourning and stuff like that. And well, let's just all of them. But it's tough to think about it, I think, when you think about all the unfinished work that he had left. I mean, think about the return to form that Dragon Ball Z has had. You don't have to like everything about Super or whatever, but all the incredible stuff that's happened. Broly, we're getting a new anime series, I believe named Dio or something. Superhero came out a few years ago. I mean, we got Fighters, one of the best fighting games of all time. Yep. Dragon Ball Z Kakarot was pretty good. I mean, Dragon Ball Z has always been there, even when Toriyama took a long extended break, as he should have, because the manga industry can be crushing to creators. And honestly, I do think that is part of why we are seeing manga creators die so young, because of the work culture in Japan is brutal. Even for famous, and especially for famous. I mean, look at the creator of Hunter x Hunter. Just going through it. That's why the anime. That's why the manga is always on hiatus, and why the anime was never really finished. But yeah. So anyway, just to say, I mean, I was telling Kim about it, and I just started crying, because it's just, it's a real shame, and he's affected so many people's lives for the better. To give you an idea of how influential he was, and I'm sure Seb's already seen this, but for people who haven't, I mean, the Chinese government literally announced that he died. I believe a president in Latin America, I don't remember which country off the top of my head, maybe Venezuela, I'm not sure. But one of the countries in South America literally said, announced a day of mourning for Toriyama. Dragon Ball Z was so influential that people in Latin America, they couldn't legally get the sub of Dragon Ball Z, and they decided to stream it or whatever on these big screens for people. And I mean, they were sporting events. I mean, you could have thought that they were watching football or whatever.
Yeah, Mexico.
Yeah. And during the Ultra Instinct and Jiren stuff, it's just, and last thing I'll say about this specific thing is that he's so popular and so influential, and Latin America loves him so much that they legit ignored a cease and desist from the Japanese government just so that the Dragon Ball Z fans could watch. I mean, literally, they're not risking war or something, right? But they're risking at least some amount of legal action for the Japanese government, just because they're nah, this goes hard, and the people need to see Ultra Instinct. That's fucking wild.
Yes, Dragon Ball is Probably more popular in Mexico than any other country. It's just for some reason, I guess because back in the day, that's the only thing they got. American cartoons were really expensive for them to get, so the only thing they would get would be anime, and that'd be Dragon Ball. So Mexico, for whatever reason, it's more popular in Mexico than any other place in Latin America. Yeah. So you can imagine the pressure that Toyotaro is under, the successor of Toriyama,
Sure.
Because the manga is still going on with Super and everything. So
Yes.
I don't know when we're gonna get the anime version of that, but it's going in exciting places. The manga. I don't want to spoil it for you, but it is going in exciting places.
Yeah.
I'm curious if there was plans for the future. What did they have anything outlined for the future, or is Toritaro going to be the guy that makes these creative decisions? I don't know, but we'll see.
It's such a heavy burden for that guy. So I don't envy him at all. I mean, that is such a heavy burden for someone to carry. But I mean, I think the most important thing is if Toriyama believed in him, we have to believe in him too. And if he thinks that he can get it done, like I have to as well. You know, he did say give the live action a chance though, on the other hand. So you know, so I want to believe that Toyotaro is gonna absolutely smash it. And I thought Super was really great. I have problems with some of the arcs, but Broly was incredible. I mean, just bar none, the best Dragon Ball movie. And I haven't seen Superhero yet. I just kept putting it off, and now I really should go see it. Especially because it has his favorite character, Piccolo. So yeah, I don't know. It's just it's stunning. I think a part of me is still processing that he's not gone. It just seemed like a timeless figure. I always just took him being alive for granted, or just as a thing that he just is. I mean, I didn't think he would die for another 10, 20 years, but I definitely think that the work culture is a big part of this. We don't know the whole story, and we don't know everything that happened, but I mean, the stress that those people go under just to make everybody happy. Obviously, Toriyama succeeded, but I mean, he took decades off his life just to make other people happy.
Yeah, but I mean, I've been happy with the arcs we've gotten so far. I like the Morrow arc, and I like the Granola arc, and I like seeing Goten and Trunks in high school and being superheroes.
Oh, let's go! The Nature Valley arc. I'm excited.
It's funny seeing Goten and Trunks as superheroes, and then the one we're on right now. I think he's been doing a good job as the successor so far. In terms of Toriyama, I always loved his humor. He's really funny.
Yes.
I mean, obviously, the original Dragon Ball is raunchy, and maybe not age well. I don't know, but it is definitely.
Roshi does not age well. I mean, I think it really showed how badly Roshi aged when they put him in Super, and they had that part with him at Tien's temple, and I was like, this is not aged well at all.
That's just how it was, though.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I know we're talking a lot about Dragon Ball, right? But that's not all Toriyama did. I mean, he wrote Dr. Slump. He did Chrono Trigger.
Dragon Quest.
Dragon Quest. Obviously, he has the Sandland game that's coming out this year. Which I was already probably going to play, and now I almost certainly am going to. It's such an enduring legacy. It's not just Dragon Ball. Obviously, that is the biggest part. But I mean, you know, don't sleep on the fact that he originally was a comedy creator. Dragon Ball was a action comedy anime, and Dragon Ball Z, of course, became an action shonen with some sprinklings of slice of life and anime and comedy here and there. But yeah, I mean, Dr. Slump and Arale, and who made an appearance in Super, that was really cool. Yeah, he's just done so much, and he's done a lot for video games too, with Chrono Trigger and now Sandland. So his reach is enormous, and I mean, we could talk about him forever.
Yeah, as Dory mentioned, he's had a huge influence on video games as well. Chrono Trigger is one of the greatest RPGs ever made. Have you ever played Chrono Trigger? Or
I actually haven't, but given my resurgence of interest in turn-based, I have been thinking about it anyway, especially because I love Sea of Stars, which is basically just a love letter to Chrono Trigger. So I have been thinking about it. I hear the best way to play it is on Steam with a SNES mod that does the translations. But yeah, so I have never played any of them. I didn't have an SNES. I had an N64, and I had a Genesis. So I never had the Super Nintendo. I did play the Super Nintendo a few times when I was younger, but I was really young. I think elementary school or younger. So it's not something I ever personally had. So I didn't really get a chance to play it when I was younger.
Gotcha. So, also, Dragon Quest. Dragon Quest is gigantic in Japan.
Yes, Dragon Quest is huge too.
Yes. I'm excited for the next one. I'm still waiting for some new release date or trailer or something. Hopefully, we get that in Kingdom Hearts 4 in the same time, in the same showcase. So Dragon Quest is huge influence. Dragon Quest never got as popular in America, or I mean the West, than in Japan, but I think it is gaining popularity. So yeah, his influence is everywhere. I played that. What was it? Blue Dragon on the 360. He did that as well. I used to draw the characters from that show, that game a lot. So I always loved his style. When I draw anime, I always had Akira's or Toriyama's art style. I just love that certain art style that he has. I
did too. It looks so good.
Yeah, and I always love like his fashion, as you mentioned. I always love his he loves tracksuits. He always puts the characters in tracksuits.
He does go
jackets
and that fucking green and white tracksuit.
So much drip in Dragon Ball. Like
absolutely,
Vegeta's pink was it Bad Boy Badman shirt?
Badman. Oh my fucking god!
Trunks'
I could write essays about that.
Trunks' jacket, Trunks was so.
What's his jacket?
Trunks just shows up doing gang signs and then just takes out Frieza in 5 seconds.
Absolutely, I was just gonna mention that one of the most iconic, cool things of all fucking time. They spend a whole fucking saga building up Frieza. He finally dies. And then comes back.
30 episodes.
Surprises everybody.
Of Goku fighting Frieza, and then Trunks comes back. Then Trunks shows up.
Just fucking slashes him in half. I mean, it's one of the fucking coolest things ever.
Yep.
And what's incredible too about the Cell Saga and the Android Saga in general is Toriyama was told to rewrite that thing I think 3 different times. I think he drew a couple of the androids, and his editor said no, that's not going to cut it. Then he drew, I think, Cell, and they said that wasn't going to cut it. And then he was like, okay, I'll just bring back Frieza. And they're like, okay, that sounds good. And then he was like, fuck you. I'm going to kill Frieza, bring in the androids, and then I'm going to bring Cell. Fuck you. He just did all of it. And it worked. It all worked. That's one of the best sagas. And it ends with, of course, one of the best scenes in all of Dragon Ball Z with the father-son Kamehameha. Just legendary stuff. I know the Buu saga as fondly remembered, but I think it still has a lot of really great moments and a lot of really great fights and stuff like that, and character moments, especially for Vegeta.
Yeah, I think the best part of Dragon Ball is never mind just the fights and stuff. It's the character moments. I think the characters are very likable. There's a lot of scenes where they're at home. They're just they're just talking to each other and hanging out, and they're always memorable. It's just something about it.
Yes.
It's heartwarming and wholesome.
I think one of the best themes for me about Dragon Ball Z is the theme of redemption. Whether it's Piccolo or it's Frieza or it's literally a space Hitler with Frieza in Super. I mean, to some extent, right? Obviously, still evil, but I think Toriyama was never afraid to say, "Look, these people have done really terrible things, but they can still be better people." And there's a big Twitter post about a couple of people. With big Twitter posts about this. But I mean, Vegeta and Piccolo obviously being the big examples of characters that have complete, transformations. Piccolo with Gohan and Vegeta with his son and Bulma, finding love and finding these connections that make them better people and eventually want to defend the planet and defend what they care about. I just think that was such a great part of Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball, and it's something that I think a lot of other cartoon shows have tried to emulate. A lot of other anime has tried to emulate with redemption stories and stuff like that. But yeah, Toriyama always did that really well, and eventually you can believe that Piccolo is a good guy, or you can believe that Vegeta is a good guy. Maybe a bit of a rough around the edges, but at his heart, he cares about his family, he cares about his friends, he wants to protect the Earth. So. I think that was a really great thing too that I really liked about Dragon Ball Z. That was pointed out online, and then I thought about it, and I was like, yeah, I like that aspect.
Yeah, I think Dragon Ball has been so influential for a lot of people because the whole theme of never giving up, going beyond your limits. I mean, I I feel like Dragon Ball's done more for the gym culture than any other show. Like,
I was just about to say, I literally like have been working out twice today with my Goku shirt on, and it's like at the, I think what somebody called it online, the nerd to gym pipeline, like it was literally invented by Dragon Ball Z, with Vegeta in the gym or Goku in the hyperbolic time chamber or in the spaceship on his way to Namek. It was always about making yourself better, whether that's mentally or physically or spiritually or emotionally or whatever. One of the quotes that's also getting thrown around was Master Roshi's quote in Dragon Ball when he's like, you have to work hard, play hard, but you also have to sleep hard, and like you have to rest well and stuff like that. I think that's really smart advice and advice I wish more people would take, because it's a really tough world in a lot of ways, and unfortunately Toriyama passing is just one other way in which it's just a shame, I guess.
Yeah, I saw a lot of posts on Twitter saying like I didn't have a dad and I learned what it means to be a man from Dragon Ball, and I totally understand that.
Absolutely, like Dragon Ball Z was Dragon Ball Z was such a good role model for what gentle masculinity can look like, right? And whether it's Goku really caring about his son, or Vegeta, or learning to deal with pride or arrogance, or to deal with knowing your limits, or there's so much about friendship and about caring about others, and there's so many arcs that get paid off way later for Gohan's gentleness and his pacifism. It's just really great. And like I think especially one of the periods of time, like right before the Cell games, where Goku is just relaxing and he's just like laying in the field with like a butterfly. He's got this killer orange tracksuit or coat or whatever the hell. And yeah, I mean
the jacket,
the jacket, and everybody's just hanging out, and they're just like taking like baths together, and they're eating together, and they're laughing together, and they're like enjoying life. And like I think Toriyama was really good at that.
Krillin like throws a rock at his face. He thinks he
thought
he was gonna dodge it.
That's right. He's like, well, he's a Super Saiyan now. I bet he can dodge this without even thinking about it. He's like, hey, what'd you do that for? That really hurt.
Yeah. So unfortunately, and also it coincides with the fact that this is the 40th anniversary of Dragon Ball. It came out in 1984. So so we were getting a new series, as Dory mentioned, and we're getting Sandland had an anime adaptation, like movie, last year, and it's gonna be on Disney Plus in the spring this year. So check that out as well. Toriyama's influence is so felt everywhere. Millions of people are grieving right now. He's one of those. He's like Walt Disney of Japan. Like that. This is a monumental loss of animation and creativity, and I guess, and as we both mentioned, huge influence on both of our lives. Dragon Ball is like in my top 5 favorite. Like it's like this is something like it's been part of my life for 26 years now. I've been a diehard Dragon Ball fan. I mean, if you go in my classroom as a teacher, I have Dragon Ball drawings for my students give me. I have statues. I have posters. I have everything you can think of Dragon Ball. Really, I have an actual Dragon Ball on my desk, and I was wearing a Goku shirt to work yesterday, and even my kids told me, "Oh, did you hear about Toriyama dying?" I'm like, "Yeah, very sad." We watched Dragon Ball in class.
Seb's awesome, because I wish I could have done that, but like I work with these slightly younger kids than he does.
I have 12-year-olds.
Like, and I work with like elementary kids. So, also I was like, I don't know, like I'm gonna play some lo-fi music, but I don't know if I want to play like a scene or anything, and I don't want to push it too much. But Seb's out here like showing full episodes, Android 17 versus Piccolo or whatever.
We watched the BoJack scene, like when
nice.
Go Super Saiyan 2. Some of it's a little inappropriate, I suppose, but I only put it on for like a group of boys that were like chilling with me. For the rest of the class, I had I was playing Across the Spider-Verse on the smartboard, and then in our corner, kids are they don't really watch movies. They like go on their phones, and because I was giving them a free day.
Right,
So
of course.
it was like we had a long like weeks of testing and essays and all that. So I was just giving them a day off. And so the kids I had Spider-Man playing, and then in the corner I had Dragon Ball playing for all the anime kids. And we were talking about anime the whole 2 hours.
Sure.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a huge.
I wasn't criticizing. I think it's awesome you were showing them that.
Yeah. Like in 8th grade, we watched the entire Naruto versus Sasuke fight, and
nice.
It's
such a classic.
It's a little inappropriate, I suppose, but no one really gives a shit. So.
It's not. Yeah, I don't think it's a big deal. I really don't think so. But yeah, it's been so huge. I mean, I think I would have been more resistant to get into a lot of the things that I love now. I mean, Kingdom Hearts, I probably would have been a little less like if I wasn't already so into anime and Disney. And I didn't know anything about Final Fantasy, so that part didn't really sway me one way or the other. It was that I saw those characters, I was like, whoa, those look like anime characters. That's so cool. With Disney? What? And I was like, I don't know who all these people with spiky hair is, big swords, but they look cool. Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball basically, got me into a lot of the things that I am now. And I mean, I have a Crunchyroll subscription. I watch anime all the time. I'm not as big of a collector as Seb is. I was when I was younger. When I used to play with toys and stuff like that when I was in like elementary school and middle school, I think I eventually made like Kid Buu like the big bad of like the overarching story I had made up in my head for years and years. I mean, that's how much I loved Dragon Ball Z and thought so highly of it. I had posters and stuff like that, and I had some of the toys, but I never got into the collector's side. I did have some of the VHS tapes too, I think.
Oh, I had every action figure you can think of every character.
Yeah,
I used to play with them all the time. Also, we didn't even hit on the video games of Dragon Ball, like how much we played Tenkaichi and Budokai, and I played that for hours and hours and hours.
I remember playing with my friend Paul in middle school. We played Budokai 1 and 2, maybe. I think 3 had either recently come out or come out a year or two prior. I don't remember. It was on the PS2, and so we were playing the Budokai games. And then I remember later, with one of my childhood friends, Victor. He and I played a lot of Budokai Tenkaichi 1 and 2 together, and that was always such a good time. I kind of fell out of Dragon Ball Z games after that. I didn't play Tenkaichi 3. I just didn't feel impressed by it, although apparently it's the best one. And I never got into Raging Blast or Xenoverse or anything like that. My fandom kind of fell out in general until Super came back, and Kai. I did watch a little bit of Kai, but yeah, I mean, so much love and respect for Toriyama's work, and especially Dragon Ball will just always be famous to me, and it's just such an incredible series. Really feel good, and it hasn't aged like really. I mean, in a lot of ways, the animation. I mean, like you can look at that animation. It gets a little better and better over every arc. But honestly, I mean, Toriyama's style is so timeless that you can go back, you can watch the Saiyan saga. You don't have to watch Kai. You can if you want like more updated visuals or sounds or whatever. But I really don't feel like it has aged that poorly in the animation department. It still looks really, really good. So yeah, I mean, it's on Crunchyroll. You can find it everywhere. Go watch a Linkin Park collab, just a music video, just to make yourself feel like you're 90 years old, like 7IR.
I used to make those too.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot. I used to watch those. Those fucking.
I used to make In the End. It was In the End, Bring Me to Life.
That's right.
Enter the Sandman. Yep. I used to make all those. Dragon Ball 8.
Dragon Ball 8 I mean, and they literally did it like. They literally did that IRL, like when they did In the House of Flies by Deftones with Cooler. I mean, that goes so fucking hard. And then stuff with Broly too when they did Pantera. So good. So
Dragon Ball has has had a huge like underrated influence on like metal. I think like it introduced Pantera to a lot of people. I mean that's the American dub and soundtrack because Bruce Falconer's soundtrack is amazing. Because to me, Dragon Ball personally for me is like better in English than it is in Japanese. Even though I don't mind the Japanese one, I am biased, but I think the soundtrack of Dragon Ball Z is better than the Japanese one because I think there's so many iconic moments from that soundtrack. I mean, it does have it.
Do
Yeah, it does have its moments where it's like too much music in the dialogue scenes,
Yeah.
but for the most part, when the big moments happen, like when Gohan kills Cell or something,
I'm so sad
it's hype.
that the Crunchyroll, that was the biggest bummer of the Crunchyroll dub, is that they didn't have the Falconer score because Falconer was basically stealing up from other people. But like, I don't know, he was so, like, musically, I mean, they're like, but his music was so fucking good. And I just didn't really, I found myself, I don't know, and this is probably nostalgia poisoning to a degree. But I mean, I was like, I don't really care. Like, can you just put the Falconer dub in there anyway?
Yeah.
Like, it was so iconic and so good. Like, obviously, ultimately he was ripping off other people's style and stuff like that. But man, I just didn't really care personally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was very. He did. I'm curious how much the soundtrack made an impact because, like, if they just used the Japanese soundtrack, would have hit in America as strongly as it did. Because they made it so much. They use rock music and like techno and electronic.
Yeah,
like it's very Western.
Yes.
And I think that I played a huge role in popularity of Dragon Ball as well. Because the other animes at the same time is like Gundam, Sailor Moon, all that like on Toonami were awesome too, but they didn't have that same level of hype. Like oh my god, this is insane. Like the first time I saw the Cell versus Gohan Kamehameha scene, I was like physically shaking. It was like the scene in the Endgame, like for the first time, like when they're all charging at Thanos. Like it was like that level of hype, and I was like, I was like, when Goku turned Super Saiyan for the first time. To me, that's the most iconic scene in all of anime. Like that's the scene where I was like, yep. I love anime and I love Japan and their culture. So yeah, I'm gonna start wrapping it up now. So Toriyama, huge loss. May he rest in peace. And that one hit me hard. That was tough. Randomly at like late at night and on Thursday, it was tough. So, all right. Let's move on to another huge Japanese IP, which would be Mario, Super Mario. Tomorrow is Mario Day because it's March 10th. And it's the 10 spells I-O, so Mario. Crazy, yeah. So tomorrow, in tribute of Mario, I was curious, what was your first Mario game, and what got you into the franchise?
So I'm split. I think it was the Super Nintendo. They had it at the Boys and Girls Club, I think. I think it was the Super Nintendo, and it was the original Super Mario Brothers. But I also played that weird spin-off game, Super Mario Land, the one with the Sphinxes, and like Mario was in all these like really weird different areas. I guess it wasn't canon or whatever. But so I believe those two were my inspiration. You know, I never actually played Super Mario 64. I know that's the big one.
Wait, what?
I know.
Wait, what?
I didn't. I know. I never played. I was too busy playing Banjo. I'm sorry. I was busy playing Banjo and Banjo-Tooie. I didn't get it.
Just to be clear, Super Mario 64 is, if Resident Evil 4 didn't exist, it would be my favorite game of all time.
Yeah,
I beat that game 20 times.
But yeah, I never played it. I have a really spotty history with Mario. I played some of the classics, but there's a lot of classics I didn't play, just because of my history with having Nintendo consoles is really spotty. Like after the 64, I didn't have the GameCube, so I never played Sunshine. I did play Super Mario Galaxy. I didn't play Galaxy 2, and then I did play Odyssey. And I liked Odyssey. I thought it was great. I didn't think it was like the 10 out of 10 that people said it was, but I thought it was a great game. I'm also not super into platformers like I used to be when I was a kid. So me, a non-platformer type person thinking it's a great game means people who think who love those kind of games are gonna absolutely adore them. So just for context. But I still love Mario, and I played Mario RPG last year. Finally, I thought that was a pretty good game. It had some problems because they were a little bit too faithful to the original. But overall, I had a fun time with it. I thought it was a good game for sure. I never got into the side games, never got into tennis, golf, whatever. I did play Mario Kart. That's right. I played Mario Kart when I was younger on the N64 with one of my uncles or whatever. I got my ass handed to me all the time. Yeah, I mean, it's very spotty history for me with Mario. I didn't watch the movie, and I didn't watch the original live action TV show or any of the animated shows. I'm kind of all over the place with Mario. I'm, very aware. I didn't watch the movie either, like the one with, God, I don't remember what was his name.
Chris
He was
Pratt?
in Roger.
Or are you
No,
talking about the
Roger
original?
Rabbit, the original live action one.
Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about. Oh, what's his name? Why am I forgetting his name? I know
I
exactly what
forget
you're
his
talking
name
about.
too.
I know exactly what you're
But
talking
yeah, anyway. So yeah, all over the place. But I mean, I love Mario. I'm looking forward to the new Princess Peach game. I wanted to get Wonder, but I didn't get it for Christmas, and I wasn't going to shell out $60 for it. And Kim and I couldn't split it at the time, so it just didn't happen. But we were interested in Wonder.
about. Get it.
I'm eagerly awaiting the sequel to Odyssey. I want them to do something like that, but I don't mind the 2D games either. I don't really care if they come out with 2D games or 3D games. It doesn't really matter to me personally. I know some people are like, "Oh, the 3D games are better or they're worse or whatever." I don't really have a huge stake in that. Yeah, the only side game I majorly got into was Super Mario Kart, or Mario Kart, I guess I should say. And I have always been bad at racing games, so I never got like really into it.
Gotcha. All right. So for me, Mario is one of my favorite video game franchises. I can relate as a short Italian myself. Um, uh, I I think Super Mario 64 is my first video game ever. I mean, like the ones like when I remember. Obviously, my first like probably first video game was either like Jumpstart Kindergarten or like Putt Putt or something. Do you remember those from the '90s on the computer or
The what
Bookworm?
games?
Like Putt Putt was like a purple car that talks, or Jumpstart
Oh,
Kindergarten,
right, yeah, the learning games. Yes, learning games.
and
Yep.
like the Bookworm one, things like that. But Super Mario
Yep.
64 was like my first console game that I remember. It was like I was about 3 years old, I want to say, in 1996. Yeah, so I was 3 years old. So Super Mario 64 was my first introduction to Mario and video games in general. So like obviously that's a huge impact on my life. Mario 64 is my second favorite game of all time. I absolutely adore everything about that game, in every single way. Uh, um, but I also played a lot of 2D Mario. Like my story with Mario is a little different than a lot of people because I didn't grow up with the Super Nintendo in the way that other people did because I didn't have the console because I'm not that old for that. I grew up in the Nintendo 64 PS1 era because I'm only 30. No, I'm not like in 40 range. So I obviously Super Nintendo was before me. So I grew up with Super Nintendo on the PC on an emulator. My dad had all the Super Nintendo games
Oh,
as I
wow.
said before. So that's where I played all the Super Mario games. I played Super Mario Brothers, Super Mario Brothers World. Like, arguably the greatest Mario game ever. Was a huge influence on me. I actually played the original, very first Mario game on the original Nintendo system. My mom kept it. Even back in the '90s, it felt like a relic to me. So I can't even imagine playing that now on a legitimate old first Nintendo system.
Yeah.
That was so I did play that. Actually, did play Mario, the original Mario, on an actual Nintendo system, but
Wow.
that was old even back then. I played a lot of 3D Mario. I love Super, like I said, 64. I love Sunshine. I played the hell out of Sunshine on the GameCube. One of the greatest GameCube games. Uh, Galaxy. I played Galaxy. I didn't play the second one because by that point I was kind of done with Nintendo for a while. Wii just didn't click with me. I was just not. I was just out of the Nintendo phase. I was all into Xbox and PlayStation and PC at the time. So I did miss it on the Wii
Yeah.
era of Mario, but I did play Galaxy. And
Galaxy was awesome.
yeah, Galaxy was awesome. I think the second one's even better, but I just never played it, from what I hear anyway. And Odyssey I beat. I love Odyssey. It's not like I agree with Dory. It's not a 10 out of 10, but it's like a 9 out of 10 for me. It's a great game. I didn't get the perfect scores, but I definitely thought it was amazing. And I'm excited for the future of Mario. I thought Super Mario Brothers Wonder is one of the best games of last year. I didn't put it in my top 10, but it was my honorable mention. I think it deserved to get nominated for sure. Mario is one of those franchises that always uh, does something new and innovative, and it does the same formula, but it always finds a new way to spice it up, and it's timeless. Like you can play a Mario game from any era. Maybe not so much the 64 or something like that because it's 3D. It doesn't age as well as like Super Mario World. You can play Super Mario World now and it still plays amazing. Like it's from the '90s and it still plays. It's just something about 2D Mario that ages better than 3D Mario. But
Yeah.
but I think 3D Mario is done a lot better now with the controls and the camera. That you can play that game in any. We can play Mario Odyssey 20 years from now, and I think it will still feel really nice.
Yeah.
Or Sunshine Mario, maybe arguably it will. I don't know if that ages well,
I think you
but
could probably go back and play Galaxy. I bet Galaxy would hold up.
yeah. I mean, they did have that collection.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, I forgot about
Which
that.
is a little scummy on Nintendo's part. They couldn't just put it on
Yeah.
their online system as a subscription, or or we can just pay for the game separately. And then they did like a limited time. You can only buy it for a limited time, so that was kind of stupid too. And then Mario 64 was like they didn't even update it. The same frame. They didn't even change the resolution or anything. It was such a lazy port. But
Ridiculous.
I love Mario. I absolutely love Mario. I dressed up as Mario. I got kids wanted an autograph from me because they thought I was actually Mario. So what does that tell you? I thought I'm a short, stubby Italian. And I am excited to go to the Super Mario World in the Nintendo World in Orlando. It should be, I think it's next year. We're getting the Mario World, and we're getting the Donkey Kong World now apparently. So
Wow.
I am very, very excited to go. My dream is still if they ever do more Nintendo stuff, I want a Pokemon thing. I would
be so cool.
I would be over the moon if they did a Pokemon or Zelda
Yeah,
thing.
that'd be awesome.
Absolutely. I would definitely walk around the park like with this Link green with the Link hat. I want to just walk around like that, or like. Yeah, they should do like a ride with Pokemon. That'd be insane. Well, like Mario though, they're doing like a Mario Kart.
They should have they should have a 10-year-old who just walks around randomly challenge you, who bullies you every time they lose. Like, my dad's a professor. You suck.
Just employ like 10-year-olds like and make them spin in circles all day.
That'd be so fucking cool.
And they look at you and you have to battle you.
Just get those Team Rocket switchboards out, and you have to like walk across them and spin without throwing up. So
like when you're walking in the park, you have to like stop, wait for them to turn, and then move. You're never safe.
That's right.
You're never safe.
That's right. I never safe.
But I'm excited for that. And then Mario Kart, obviously, huge influence. I've been playing every Mario Kart that's ever been out. Mario Kart is amazing. I still play Mario Kart. I bring the Switch in for my students, and we play Mario Kart on the smart board. So the kids love Mario Kart. It's timeless. Still, I mean the Mario Kart that we have right now is still getting updates. I mean, we got the final DLC now, but I don't know where you can go from here. I mean, I know we're getting actually it just happened today. We're getting an announcement for a Mario Kart Lego Mario that like Nintendo literally just announced today, March 9th. And so I'm curious what that's going to be, but I don't know where Mario Kart's gonna go from here. I don't like. They've done everything. They did every course. I don't know what else you could do to make it better. So we'll see. But either way, Mario is the Mickey Mouse of gaming. He is the most iconic character. He's the space of all of gaming. So Mario is a huge influence on most people's lives, just like Dragon Ball is.
There is to cap that off, there was a first grader who was dressed up as Mario on Friday. I think it was like a dress up as your favorite fictional character day or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, he had all the trimmings of Mario on, so that was very funny to see.
Yeah, and Mario's timeless. Like just future generations are gonna keep playing and watching Mario content. I mean. Kids today, right? They got the movie, and kids sing the Peaches song all the time.
Yeah,
like, everybody knows that.
Peaches.
All the
even I know it. I didn't even see it. I didn't even see the movie yet. I'm not going to. But Peaches. You
should watch. I think it's a fun movie. I think you should watch it. Like when you get a chance. It's on Netflix. So, it's Mario is timeless. It's always gonna be around. It's the Mickey Mouse of gaming.
I'm very excited for Thousand Year Door to come out because I never played that, and I would love to play that.
Yeah, Paper Mario is the one series I never super got into. I played the one that came out a few years ago, but that's about it.
Origami King?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of liked it, but I just wasn't in the mood for that kind of game where like a lot of dialogue and things like that.
Right.
But yeah. So Mario's amazing. I love Mario. I'm always excited for a new Mario game. It's one of the reasons. It's one of the franchises that keeps me going, that keeps me wanting to buy a Nintendo console because it's exclusive, right? Like no other place you can get a Mario game unless you pirate. which I don't pirate. So Mario's had a huge influence on my life. So happy Mario Day to everybody. That's tomorrow, March 10th. And yeah. So let's talk about some news now. There's only two things that we're going to talk about for the news. These won't be super long. There was a showcase that we got from Xbox, their partner showcase. I'm not going to go super in-depth with it because it's mostly a third-party partner showcase that really showed a lot of games that I'm not super into. Dory, did you watch it?
I did watch it. I have to agree with you that there was almost nothing I was super interested in. I did think Unknown Nine Awakening looked cool. Tales of Kenzera looked cool. Chucky is in Roblox, which is fucking weird.
Yeah.
I thought that was a game for kids. And then the first Berserker I thought looked cool. But yeah, I didn't. It was okay. It's just okay. It's just kind of was there.
Yeah, I'm gonna go super in depth, but the first thing that jumped out at me was Unknown 9. I was getting like Assassin's Creed vibes or Prince of Persia vibes from it.
Yeah.
And then she started possessing people. So the animation doesn't look amazing, but it looks fine. It looks like a fun game to play. I'll check it out. Looks like a game I'd get on sale or something. And then what else? The sleight of hand had a cool tone to it, but they didn't really show anything. So, but I'll keep an eye on.
Yeah,
that
I
one.
guess it's deck building meets stealth meets a couple other genres, which doesn't do it for me. But it looked interesting. I like the look of it, but I don't think I'll play it.
And there was another game, The Altars, which I think a lot of PC players would get into. I think that's the game where you like run a crew on a ship. And there's like an RPG element. Oh no, is that the right?
Yeah,
one?
you're basically trying to make yourself happy, but with a lot of clones and stuff like that, which is what the altars are.
Yeah, that's not my kind of game. This is a PC gamer game. I'm not that I'm not a PC gamer, but it's like I just don't like these kind of games personally. Like survival games, keep everybody alive and happy. All right. Then the other game they showed was Creatures of Ava, which is like it kind of gave me Kana vibes with the staff, but you basically use a flute to like tame wild creatures and they follow you around. I don't really. It's not something it didn't really catch my interest. It just doesn't. The gameplay just didn't really do anything for me personally. The art style looks nice. And then Chucky was in Roblox, but apparently it's only for a limited time.
What a fucking world.
So I don't know why that's for. I wonder why it's only for a limited time, but yeah, what a weird time, I guess. And the Sinking City 2, I thought a lot of people were happy about that. I never played the first one, but I know of it. Did you ever play that one?
I'm vaguely aware of it, but it didn't do anything for me. Or the announcement didn't do anything for me, I should say. I don't think it's my kind of game.
Gotcha. And then there was Final Fantasy XIV Online, which is coming out on Xbox finally in March. I played a lot of Realm Reborn over the years, but now I'm just not into MMOs anymore. I just don't have I want to play different games.
Yeah.
And I only have so much time working full time, so I'd rather play a bunch of different games and stick to like one game all year. So it's just not for me. But
I wanna highlight Tales of Kenzara. It's notable because it's partially made by the folks from Critical Role, one of the most popular D&D live plays of all time. Mm-hmm. Looks like a really cool action platformer, maybe Metroidvania. I got some Metroidvania vibes. Mm-hmm. It looked really neat, and it was using an interesting African cultural kind of touchstone point as its themes. That was a train wreck. Was sounding sorry, but basically they're using African culture. I believe it was African. I could be wrong. To create the themes for a story about grief. And yeah, it looked really cool. That and Unknown were the only two games that really grabbed me. I'm not big into Metroidvanias though. Yeah. But I would at least look closely at scores, and if it got really good scores, I'd at least consider it.
I mean, that's the game where the guy on the Game Awards got on stage and talked about his dad, I think.
That's right. So we have seen that before, yeah.
Yeah. So like I said when we saw it, that it drew my interest. I'm not a big Metroidvania person like you are. I'm
Right.
just like you aren't either, and so I'm kind of 50-50 if I'm interested or not. Just Metroidvania is kind of
Right.
I can only play certain ones here and there. I can't. It's not something I can't just jump from Metroidvania to Metroidvania. Some people absolutely love this genre, can play it all year. Me, I can only do like 2 a year. It's just not my kind of genre. So, but it definitely has catches my interest, and I'll keep that in mind. I'll wish list it. The biggest game for me from this showcase was let me give you the right name, the first Berserker, which I also praised during the Game Awards as well. I was like, wow, what is this Souls game that like with this awesome art style with this like black shade
Yeah,
to
that
it?
I was even grabbed by it. I was like, this looks fucking awesome. I'm not gonna
Yeah,
play it, but it looks fucking cool. It gave me, it gave me Berserk vibes,
I will
but
convert
it
you
gave
one
me
day.
it gave me like really cool just vibes just from the art style. I was enraptured by the trailer. It just looks so good. So yeah,
Yeah.
hoping that turns out well for the people who like that genre.
It has like that art style. It kind of reminds me of Scarlet Nexus, like that certain art style.
Right, yes.
Like kind of like that shade of color that it has and the shade of animation. Yeah, it looks amazing. Yeah, like this looks like a potential day one game. I just need to see more game. I just need to see more to it. But it looks like potential day one buy for me. Unless it's like ridiculously hard. Like if it's like if it plays like a Sekiro or Neo or something, it's just that's not my kind of game. Like I said, I like the slower Souls games. But
Right.
we'll see. But yeah, that's the game. That was the show. The game of the show for me. The other thing we didn't talk about was Stalker, but I've never really played the Stalker game, so it's just one of those franchises that never appeals to me. Have you ever played a Stalker game on PC or anything like that?
No, I've never played a soccer game.
Okay. And then Frostpunk 2, I'm not into Frostpunk. That's just not my kind of genre. So,
He prefers hot punk.
but there was that their Capcom game, the Kunitsugami Path of the Goddess. That looked
Yeah,
cool.
I
That
didn't
looked cool.
realize that was a real-time strategy game. I was very confused. I thought it was just a
Yeah,
third-person action game.
me too. I didn't because the reason why is we never saw gameplay. We only saw like an animation for it. I think it was at the Game Award. No, was it the Game? It was like something. It was like a showcase. I think it was an Xbox showcase last year or something like that. It was somewhere. Yeah, that caught me off guard too. That it was a strategy game. But I'm kind of digging it though. Like I do like strategy games, but like again, it's not my kind of genre. But it's something I would play. Cause I always like to play all different genres. I just can't do certain genres like more than once or twice in a year. So looks really cool. Capcom's killing it. So I'll give this game a benefit of the doubt. Those are the two things that jumped out at me. All the biggest announcements for me were all Japanese, but like really overall, I'm not every game in this list. I'm kind of like besides the Berserker game, I'm kind of like I'm not probably not gonna play any of these games. To be honest with you.
Yeah, I wasn't particularly impressed by this showcase, but I mean, I guess you could say that about most things Xbox does these days.
Sure, but I think it's just a small. I think it's just meant to be a small little like partner show, and like most of these games are on every platform
Right.
anyway. So I'm gonna play most of these games on PlayStation. All right. But I don't even know if they're all coming to Game Pass or not either. All right. So moving on to another Xbox IP, which is Fallout. Fallout is one of my favorite franchises in gaming, and I've been very cautiously optimistic for the show. When we got the teaser 2 months ago, I was digging it. I was like, okay, this looks pretty good. But then the trailer we got recently though, absolutely looks incredible. Like I've never seen a video game adaptation be this accurate to the IP before. Like, you can tell the people who made this are true fans. I mean, they've captured everything you can think of in Fallout. They even used a song in the trailer from Fallout 3. Did you watch the trailer at all, Dory?
I did not.
Okay. Well, if you don't know the story of Fallout, usually it's a vault dweller, right? Like they live in the vaults, and the vault dwellers are usually like kept away from the rest of the world, so they're they're not well equipped to survive out in the apocalypse after U.S. and China nuked each other. The whole world is a mess, and all the animals and every plants and things got radiation and got radioactive, and they turned into mutant beasts and stuff like that. So you got giant cockroaches, and you got mutant bears, and you got mutants, super mutants walking around and all that. Have you ever played a Fallout game before?
Yes, I have. It's called Outer Worlds. It's one of the best Fallout games of all time. No, in all seriousness, I didn't get into Fallout as a kid, and I didn't play New Vegas when it came out. So I just never got into it. But New Vegas is on my Game Pass list, so I will eventually play it. I also played Starfield, but I don't know. That's more Oblivion than Fallout, right? But whatever. So yeah. Short answer, no. Long answer, no. But so yeah, I don't really care about this. I gotta be real. That's why I didn't watch the trailer. Seb's like, "Hey, you should go check out this trailer." I'm like, "Yeah."
This looks like something you'd be into, though. I don't think you have to Fallout to like this, because I feel like this is actually.
I bet.
It looks high budget. It looks like the scenery looks great. The acting looks good. There's a lot of humor.
I know Liana Rupert is on it as well, and she's a huge Fallout fan. So I'm not surprised that there is a team there that really cares about it, because Liana always really cares about whatever source material she wants to talk about.
Right. So what we've seen from the trailer, so the main character, she's a vault dweller, and she leaves her vault to go out in the world, and she's unprepared for the rest of what she's going to encounter. She runs into a ghoul. If you know what a ghoul is, it's a person that got mutated. So they're their faces melted off, and people are really racist against the ghouls because they call them freaks and zombies. And, there's always every game. There's always a whole context of how the ghouls are treated like a second class citizen because of the way they look. We got to see the Brotherhood of Steel, which look amazing. They look awesome. They even had the whole dog follow around the sheriff guy with the ghoul guy. We got to see all the factions fighting each other. We got to see super mutants fighting. There's a lot of humor in it. It has the blue vault outfits, and it looks spot on. I mean, I can't even describe how accurate this looks. This is Fallout to a T. You don't see adaptations be this good ever. I really hope the show is really good. This show looks absolutely mind-blowing. I'm a giant Fallout fan. I mean, I have Vault Boy right here on my desk, right next to me. So I love Fallout, and I am super hyped for this show. It comes out next month, and I think Amazon has made really great shows like The Boys. So I'm very confident this show is going to be great. So it comes out on April 11, I think. Dory, do you have Amazon Prime? If you wanted to
I
check
do
it
not.
out?
That's the other reason I wasn't super interested. Prime is one of the services I won't get because I don't really like Amazon.
Gotcha. So check it out. Yeah, April 11. All the episodes will be on Amazon April 11th, and go enjoy it. All right. So our last topic of tonight is our second impressions of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. At this point, the next episode is going to be our last impressions of it, because I'm sure both of us will have it beaten by then.
Yes, I certainly will.
Yeah, story's a lot more ahead than I am. I mean, I'm on chapter 9, but I'm at the end, almost chapter 10. So we don't want to spoil the story, so I'll keep it as vague as possible. Basically, where I'm at is the reactor from Gungaga, and they're fighting the Scarlet and the mechs.
Right.
And,
yep.
And Kate Sith is in the party now, which I absolutely love. So we'll start with Kate Sith.
Yeah,
Kate Sith is awesome. They did him great service. They kept his Scottish little accent because he's based on Scottish folklore, and he's a robot controlled by a person in somewhere else. They just show who it was, but just for the sake of spoilers, I won't say who it is. If you're a Final Fantasy fan, you already know. You don't know. Did you know that, or because they showed it?
I didn't know that.
Did you know who it was when they revealed who it was?
No, I have no idea. But now I just put two and two together about why a certain thing just happened in the story.
Yeah,
And
he's in the first remake. I mean, in the first game, he works for Shinra, and but he's one of the people that actually cares about the planet, and so he's secretly working behind the scenes to get what he wants. So he has good intentions. I won't say the name, but Kate said there's a robot cat, and he also controls a robot Moogle. He's really fun to play because one thing about Kate Sith is I never liked to use him in the original game, but in this game he's a blast to play. Like I love his play style with the dice and the fire and ice moves he has. And
I've got good news for you then about a later chapter. Then you'll be seeing a lot more of him.
Yeah, I mean I already been playing with him a lot recently. Because what I did, because we'll talk about the Gold Saucer now. When I got to the Gold Saucer, like after all the stuff in the Gold Saucer, when I went back and did all the Chocobo races, and I did all the battle, events or whatever you want to call it, and I had Casey in my party. That's how I got better with him, and that's how I grinded out levels. So I'm a little higher level than where the main mission is.
To that, Seb, I say, Chocobo. I'm on a Chocobo.
Yeah, the soundtrack is amazing.
I was singing that to myself yesterday while I was in class with the kids. I was like, Chocobo. The rhythm's not quite there, but yeah, the Yuffie does it at one point. It's so adorable and funny. It's just so good. I love Kate Sith. I love his little Scottish accent. I love Scotland, and I love the Scottish accent, so I'm happy. There's a hole in my heart recently where there's a lack of a Scottish accent, which used to be filled by podcasting. Shout out to that Scottish guy I know.
I do. I saw on Twitter though, like some people were arguing, oh, he's Irish or he has an Irish accent. I'm like, I swear it's Scottish. Like there was a whole debate.
Scottish too.
There was a whole debate about it. I'm like, you typical Americans can't tell. I'm like, whatever.
I don't fucking care.
I think he's Scottish. Whatever. I'm pretty sure he's Scottish.
Yeah. But either way, it's it's a great accent, whatever it is, and I think it's cute. He and Yuffie are such great characters. One of my favorite scenes is where I won't give too much away. It's not even a big spoiler anyway. But Yuffie is talking about how great she is, and she's just going on and on and on. And Cloud just says, "Don't care," and just walks like right by her. This is in Costa del Sol, so you probably already saw it. But it's really fucking funny. I was howling. I clipped it. It was so funny. Yuffie's awesome. I continue to love her enthusiasm. I love playing as her. She's so fun. It's so easy to move from place to place with her. Her elemental ninjutsu is so fun to use and broken, honestly, if you can exploit what weaknesses the right way. Kate Sith is a ton of fun. I don't play him a lot, but the story does give you some chances, hint to not chances, but kind of makes you get comfortable with him. I will say that kind of sucked when you had to fight one boss and you're all by yourself as Kate Sith, because although Kate Sith is fun to play, he himself is not exactly a powerhouse. He's more better complemented by other party members. But that aside, I'm a little farther ahead than Seb is. I'm on chapter 12. I actually just had the date with the character who I built the most affinity with. Wasn't the character I wanted, but I'm not gonna cry about second place. I learned that once you beat the game, you get chapter select. So I'll absolutely be going back to this chapter and going on the date with the person I wanted to go on a date with. I do think it's kind of lame that they force you to go on a date with the person who's closest to the level, and they don't give you an option. But whatever.
That's how it was in the original.
So that's how it was in the original, and I guess they gotta have some kind of system. But I mean, like I just said, level select. You can go back and do it your way, and you can just date whoever. Or I call it a date. Honestly, for only 2 characters, there's dates. Like if you go hang out with Yuffie, it's not a date. Like because she's 16. For starters. But you can like go on a date with Barrett or go on a date with a couple other characters.
Aerith and Tifa.
Yeah, Aerith and Tifa and Barrett, and then
that's it. Yeah. I don't think you can do Yuffie. You can like have Yuffie on a date. So.
Yeah, you can. Well, you can in this game.
But
you have to like because she comes in so late in the game. you need to like immediately like start doing her quests and like, you know, make her really happy and stuff like that. But again, it's not really a date. It's only really a date with Aerith and Tifa. Everybody else is just like an intimate like hangout, like just a one-on-one thing where character moments happen.
Yeah.
So anyway,
I always ship Tifa and Cloud. So like anyway.
Yes, and I do as well. So I didn't quite get that, unfortunately. And unfortunately, Tifa and Aerith were neck and neck. They were both the highest happiness I could have. But I guess Tifa had more. Aerith had more, or I don't know. Maybe she was the closest to. I don't know. The first kind of conversation you have is with Aerith in terms of like deepening a relationship. So Aerith kind of gets a head start. So I think if they're even, it just prioritizes Aerith. But anyway, yeah, the combat's incredible. Continues to be incredible. It's the best part of this game for sure. Although I love the story and the characters. I will say I have gotten tired of the open world elements of this game at this point. I'm 50 hours in. So I don't think that's that bad in terms of like length. It doesn't hurt my enjoyment of the game that much, but the rewards aren't really worth it. I find the proto relic quests way too drawn out. I didn't like the one in the desert, and I didn't like the one, and I didn't even find the one in Gongaga. One of the other ones is what's that?
I'm the same way. I'm burned out with the open world. I just want the content. Yeah. Side content was really interesting at first, but now like the side quests are just not hitting the same for me.
Yes,
and then the intel missions are just. I only like you said, the rewards are not really worth it because I don't really care about the battle intel with Chadley and everything. Like it was cool at first, but like
the materia is just not good enough. It doesn't warrant the time investment because the materia that he gives, although it's good, isn't. It's not so good that it's like, okay, it's worth me doing this 15-minute side quest just to make, you know,
if it was
I did a side quest for Johnny because I love Johnny the character. But honestly, the middle part of that hotel saga side quest,
I didn't even do that
was
one.
Fucking
because I heard.
I'll fucking tell you, it fucking sucked. You have to go around to all these different zip lines and find different materia, which makes no sense because Johnny's like, I was running away from monsters. But they're all at the top of these fucking zip lines. And I was able to find, I think, 2 of them without a guide, but I had to use a guide to find the rest. And then I ended up doing a different side quest along the way. And it's just, it's infuriating sometimes how this map works because I legit couldn't find Dio, the manager of the Golden Saucer. I had to look up a guide about how to find him. And that just shouldn't be the case. It's a main story quest. This is not optional. Like, I have to find him. Like, you know, and eventually I did. But like, I just don't like the way they do the map. I'm realizing that there are certain things I like better about Remake. I like, honestly, better that a lot of the maps are more linear. I know that was a complaint from some folks. It never bothered me. I know that Remake had a lot of squeeze throughs, and that was annoying. I agree. And all the loading times and stuff like that was egregious. But you know, honestly, it's like it's that versus an open world space where the rewards aren't really worth it, and it just feels like a lot of to-dos. I just feel, you know, this game's still excellent. I'm doing a lot of like small criticisms here. I don't want to make it seem like I'm not enjoying the game. I still love it. Still staying up past my bedtime to play it and ignoring my loved ones. So I mean, obviously, it's doing something right. So it's still an excellent game, but the open world element at 50 hours in is not hitting for me anymore. I've started mainlining the story at this point. And that's why Seb's burned out a lot faster than I did. So that's why he's, at chapter 9 already, even though I put a lot more hours in.
Yeah. Cause I'm not a big open world fan. Like I like open world games.
I'm very mixed on them myself.
I get burned out real fast. This open world doesn't hit like Tears of the Kingdom, for example. I think like some games just do open world incredible, and other games just feel empty. This game doesn't feel empty because I think the open world in this game.
No, it doesn't.
None of the maps feel like too huge. Like I feel like if I want to go from point A to point B, it's pretty quick to get to wherever I want to go. Like when I get the buggy, for example, like it's pretty fast. I feel like I got across the map pretty easily.
The buggy fucking rules.
And then there's a lot of like fast travel points you can unlock, so it's not it's not like tedious or anything. It's just I just think the side content in this game just doesn't hit as like other games have had. Like The Witcher 3 has incredible side content, like arguably better than the main story. and Fallout like New Vegas or Fallout 3 or something like that all have like really memorable side content, but this game just doesn't have that. It did at first. It did. Like I like the mission you turn into a frog or you're like escorting a dog or something like that. That didn't bother me, but now I'm just like it's just not hitting anymore. And like I said, the Intel stuff just not worth it. Also, another criticism I had last week was the graphics. Now, what I realized is it's the problem with the graphics is performance mode. Performance mode's graphics is terrible, or at least okay, but it's really rough and fuzzy. So I switched to fidelity mode, which I never do because I don't like playing games at 30 frames per second, but I had to. And wow, what a difference did that make. The game looks 1,000 times better in fidelity mode. For whatever reason, performance mode is in a bad state right now. It needs to be patched, which they said they would. And yeah, I've been playing in fidelity mode ever since, and it's such a huge difference. This game looks way better than my first impression of this game, and I've gotten used to the 30 frames, so I've just kind of lived with it. But I generally, I wish that the performance mode was ready to go in time for the game release because I don't like playing 30 frames, but it is what it is. But the game looks great now. I think it still has its pop-ins. It still has some errors with the character models from the distance. It looks a little off, but it looks way better than it did. So I recommend playing fidelity mode for now until they fix performance mode. So
I haven't had those issues with performance mode, but again, my sense of that stuff isn't as good as other people's. I've literally looked at videos where all the comments are like, "Wow, this looks like such shit," and I'm like looking from left to right, and I'm like, "The fuck? Like, what am I seeing? This looks fine."
Yeah,
so,
I never thought it looked like shit. I just thought I said last week, there's like it's good enough, like it's just like acceptable, but now it looks pretty good. It's still not on Horizon's level, but it's still very good.
Yeah. I'll talk about a couple other things if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
So I love the way the story is shaping up. Like I said, we won't talk about story spoilers or anything like that, but I love where it's going. I'm a little more clear on what's going on with the multiverse thing that it's got going on. I don't think it's that confusing so far. But again, I play Kingdom Hearts for fun, so I mean, whatever they're doing with it is probably not going to bother me. I know IGN had a whole video about how they they messed up that moment, and I'm not going to say what moment it is, but if you know, you know. I don't know yet. It still looks like that moment is happening, but I don't know for sure. I have a feeling I know what's going to happen with that moment, but yeah, so I love where the story is going so far. The characters are awesome. I'm even getting burned out on the side quest though. So at this point, I'm just like beelining it for the end because I might go back to do the side quests. After the only open world quests I am doing are the summon materia because that gives me a practical like thing. Like if I'm fighting a really tough enemy and my group has been split up, or I only can have certain members, like then I need them all to have good summoning materia, not just like 3 of them or whatever. So I think I have 4 or 5 summoning materia at this point. That's like level 4. And I'm trying to get it so that everybody has one, just in case like the party gets split. So that's the only thing that's open world that's really calling to me at this point. I will say that the traversal gets a little better once you get later in the game, in the late chapters. Just in terms of the chocobo and special abilities, is really cool.
I'm assuming you get the high wind at some point.
I haven't done that yet, but you do get a couple of different vehicles. Okay. I don't want to say too much, but you get some fun alternatives to your vehicle. But from meeting said. But yeah,
I'm just guessing though. You get a submarine. I'm guessing.
I don't want to say it's kind of.
You don't have to answer me. I'm just guessing.
Yeah. But and then from there, what else did I want to say? Yeah, I think my biggest gripe right now is just the open world elements. And I want to stress this is an excellent game overall, but the open world elements are just okay, and some of them are good. Like I feel like the summoning materia stuff is worth it, even if like memorization is not my strong suit. And it does feel satisfying to fill things out and to get little check marks and fight like various individual fiends that have unique weaknesses and have unique appearances. Like that's still cool, but it all feels just kind of disposable at this point. It feels fun, but empty, I guess, at this point. I'm 50 plus hours in. I kind of just want to be done with the game. I think Infinite Wealth took me about 40 hours, maybe less. And I wasn't trying to 100% it, so obviously that would have taken me longer. But yeah, I mean, by the time I was done with Infinite Wealth, I felt like I was done. And I'm like 50 hours, and I'm starting to feel like I'm done. Not with the characters or the story or the writing or the combat, but just the general like game. You know, I'm just like I feel like I'm gonna beeline it to chapter 14 at this point.
I'm with you there because I when I look at the trophy list, I hit on every side content like you can do at this point. Like any rest of the trophies are like for doing the rest of that side like the same thing, just like later on. Like I did every mini game you can think of at this point. I got all the trophies for those mini games. I did all the chocobo races. I got every trophy you can get for the intel and unlocking one map, and I think I've done.
That's one other thing I want to say about the game. I know that this is in the original, so I guess I have the same problem with the original. But there are too many fucking mini games in this game.
This game has more mini games than the original. Like they pushed the mini games more in this one than the original.
Yeah, it's to my taste. For me personally, there are too many. Now, I'm not saying it's not horrible or whatever, but the mini games are such a mixed bag for me personally that I just feel like this game could be over 10 hours sooner if they would just cut out some of the mini games. And it's like I feel like I'm drowning in mini games. Like and most of them are good, you know, and a couple of them are great, but there's definitely a couple stinkers in there that are not good at all, and I don't know why they're there. But I mean, I had a blast with like the Chocobo race and the Starship Explorer one. I hated the 3D Brawler one. I know we've talked about this before.
No, we actually didn't talk about that yet. So we can
no, I was gonna say I know we talked about how my sense of direction is really bad under pressure. So I'm garbage at that game. So I hate it. I don't hate it because it's a bad game. I hate it because I'm bad at it.
It is hard. It is hard. Most of the moves are easy to predict, except for like the one you have to duck, like because he puts the fist way up above his head. That one kept throwing me off, especially when you get to like the third one fighting against Dio. Like because he does like a 3.
I didn't even get past the Shinra Trooper. Oh, okay. I couldn't even get past. Like I told you, I'm garbage. Like,
he does a 3 combo, and you have to dodge like 3 in a row, and it's really hard.
It's so confusing to me because it's like I try to look at the screen, and the Shinra Trooper's like coming at the right. So I'm like, okay, so that's a left, or is that a right, or is this my left, or is it?
Yeah,
I can't do it, and so I just gave up. But I still love Queen's Blood. Queen's Blood rules.
Yeah, Queen's Blood's amazing.
I'm not like, Queen's Blood's really good. I love Pirates Rampage. That was really fun. That's basically the Resident Evil 4 game, but that was fun.
Yeah, it was.
I didn't really like. I thought Running Wild was fun, but I wasn't very good at it. But it was fun. And then the Cactuar. All the photo challenges can go to hell. I really don't like that you have to like get 80% correct or like match something. I also don't understand this game's fucking like hesitancy to like just give you like a green marker on your map and just have like a wide open area wherein you can look, because sometimes they do that, but other times they're like, here, ponder upon this random piece of paper that someone gave you, flip through the photos and see if you can find whatever the fuck we put in the open world. I'm like, just give me a direction. Like, why are you doing this? Like,
this is padding out content. I think the biggest criticism I have for this game, and I also had this for the first remake as well, is there's a lot of padding in this game.
Yes.
It's not like horrendous. It's not like I'm stuck in a place for 20 hours or anything like that. It's more like
right.
They just throw little things in there, like when you're in a fact, like for example, I'm in the reactor in chapter 9, and you have to plug in like the control panel to get the power on. It's like, why? Like it just pads. Yeah. It just pads it. It's like little things that. It's like
there's just stuff in there that just shouldn't be in there or should be entirely reduced. I will say later on when you play as Kate Sith and you have his environmental thing, which is throwing boxes,
Yeah.
You literally have to press 3 fucking different buttons to get him. L2 picks up the box, R1 aims the box,
Yeah.
and square throws the box. I've never seen a game overcomplicate a simple action like throwing. So that should not be a 3-step process. Throwing should not be a 3-step process.
Yeah.
That's my little rant. These are all nitpicks. Like, I still love the game, but that bothered the fuck out of me. It took me a good, I think, by the time I finally got used to the way that Kate Sith throws boxes, what a fucking ridiculous sentence that is. The section with him was just about over. Like, it was ridiculous. I'm like, why does this require 3 different buttons just to throw a box? Anyway, so yeah, I agree. It's just sometimes there's just too much padding, and it shows. I love this game, and I love a lot of what's going for, but I can comfortably say at this point, it's not going to be my GOTY. I'm pretty sure Infinite Wealth clears it for me. Not clears it. I don't mean like it's way better.
Yeah.
But I had more fun with Infinite Wealth. I liked its open world better. There are some things that this game does a little better. I think I do prefer this game's combat over Infinite Wealth, but they're both like incredible combat, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I'm suspecting that. I mean, obviously they haven't come out yet, but I'm suspecting that maybe Dragon's Dogma or the Black Myth Wukong game are gonna be higher than it for me. I think you like Infinite Wealth more than I do. I mean, I think Infinite Wealth is great, but I still have this game higher than Infinite Wealth. Infinite Wealth is my second favorite game of the year. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is my game of the year right now. I mean, it's only March, but I don't suspect it's gonna be my game of the year. After playing this game, I agree with the reviews. It's a 9 out of 10 for me. It's not like
yes, agreed, absolutely 9 out of 10 for sure.
It does have its issues. It's not like it's not as good as like let's say God of War Ragnarok or anything like that. It's just not on that level for me. It's not Elden Ring or Baldur's Gate 3, but it's still a great, fantastic game. I think if you're on PlayStation, it's a must play. I think overall there is padding. The side content doesn't hit as much. That I feel like this is like after playing the game for at least 30 hours, and you played it for 50 plus. So it's like it's not like I got bored five hours in. Like this is after playing for 30 hours. I'm tired of the side content. It's just the same thing over again. But for the first 20, 30 hours, I was fine with the side content. It's now where I'm getting burned out from it.
Yeah.
And the padding is not that bad because it really is still a linear game. You really are going from point A to point B. Everything is very story-driven, narrative-based. Like they basically throw the minigames in the middle of it to drag it out. Because obviously, if they didn't have the minigames in the middle, this game would be nothing but fighting cutscenes. So I understand. I think the minigames really hit. So I think the minigames don't bother me as much as other people maybe. There are some that I don't hit the same, but mostly I've had a blast with pretty much all of them. Pretty much, yeah. And the Chocobo racing, especially, I really enjoy. I feel like Mario Kart, the drifting. Actually, no, I feel like Crash Team Racing with all the drifting and stuff. And I didn't know you can drift a Chocobo until the actual race. You can actually do that in the open world. I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, I didn't know that either.
Yeah, and so the flaws are just minor. They're minor for me. They don't ruin the game for me. But there's so many minor problems I have that like adds up to like a whole 10 points off the score. Basically.
And honestly, I wouldn't have as many problems with the open world elements if you could just fucking get to them. Like this is one of my big problems about open world games is verticality. They give you this whole huge space and they show you like these mountains and places you can get up to and these rollicking hills, and it's like, but good luck getting up to them. Because it's like, and like I know part of it's on me, right? I have a poor sense of direction and a poor sense of like I always want to go the most clear, blatant path forward, right? But like it's like infuriating when like all I'm trying to do is to get to a whatever the fuck, one of those towers.
Yeah.
And it's like I can't even figure out how to get to it. Like there's no clear path. There's no yellow markers. Like those things are so infrequent. It's like I wish you could just climb everywhere. Instead of just having like specific spots. I know that's more trouble for game devs, but I mean, I don't know, fucking delay the game. I don't care.
Yeah.
It's so frustrating to get any amount of verticality in this game because everything is so situational. Climbing is so situational. You have to approach every single landmark and every single open world activity from a certain angle. it makes getting to these places a chore. And it's like, that shouldn't be a chore. Like, I understand hiding them a little bit and making it like a bit of an adventure to find, but I
Yeah.
don't feel like it's an adventure. I feel like it's a chore. And like, I feel like, like I said, the rewards aren't even that great. So it's like, I don't even really want to do it.
Yeah.
I was sticking with the proto relic stuff at first. I did the first two, but the third one I couldn't even find. And then the fourth one, I instantly noped out of. It was another mini game that had complicated mechanics that I was like, "There's no way." To be fair, it was late at night, but I was like, "There's no way I'm doing this." And then I know one of them is just like
Yeah.
combat arenas.
The cactus one.
Um,
The cactus one was when I realized I'm not digging this anymore. I'm done.
Yeah, no, that was it for me too. I did the first two. I thought the trials themselves were fun, but getting to them with the Cactuar stuff was so laborious, and it's just constantly opening up the menu, closing the menu, opening up the menu, closing. Like, am I going the right way? I don't fucking know. They should have just had the trials by themselves without like having that aspect. The cutscenes were cute and they were funny, but I mean, yeah, it's just too drawn out. Like you said, it's padding. It's death by 1,000 cuts for me in this game. I didn't have this problem with the Infinite Wealth side quests almost at all. I never felt like, my biggest criticisms of Infinite Wealth were mostly stuff about like the late game difficulty spikes and some stuff about them not being clear on what level you should be. But other than that, I thought it was pretty much not perfect, but I mean, masterful 5 out of 5 game. Yeah, I don't know. This is my big problem with open world games, is that they show you all this huge area that you can explore, and then they make it incredibly hard to actually explore it. For me, anyway. And again, poor sense of direction, maybe partially on me, but I feel like some of these open world things that don't even have good rewards are not even really are a chore to get to, so they're just not worth it. So yeah, it's just frustrating in that respect. But I do want to talk about some positive stuff. Like I said, combat's incredible. The story is awesome. The voice acting, the writing, the music, of course. I mean, they're pretty much all like 5 out of 5s. 4.75, whatever you want to say, out of 5. In some cases, this is still an absolutely awesome game. I just got to a part. Actually, I got to that part this isn't a spoiler because this was given away in trailers, but where Aerith sings at the Golden Saucer. I mean, that made me fucking. I don't think that's Brianna White, but that made my jaw like drop. Like, it was beautiful. And I was like, oh, we're back. Like, this is an incredible game. So I don't know. I don't know what I'm gonna do about the side quests and the open world stuff. There's still stuff that I could do, but it's like, here's a legendary accessory if you do this, and you have to beat all these enemies to fight these other enemies. And I'm like, why would I do that? It's give and take with this game for me. I love a lot of it, but there's definitely some parts that I don't really enjoy. And if I have to be real with you, I prefer the linear nature of the first, which I know this game still is basically a linear game, but I'd take the linear approach over this. That said, there was a lot of squeeze throughs and loading screens, and like a lot of other people said, this game makes that game look like a tech demo, which is fucking wild because Remake was awesome. So yeah, I don't know. I'm mostly still in love with it, but definitely, like, I've been making more time for other things lately. Like, I finally caught up with my YouTube watch later list, and like watching wrestling when it's not live or whatever. So it's like, it's not, Final Fantasy doesn't have the stranglehold that how it had on me at the beginning, but it's still, it's still gripping me very tightly.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same for me. I'm burned out like from pretty much all the side content. Now I just want to streamline it and get it done. But overall, I love the game. It's still a 9 out of 10 for me. Final Fantasy VII is my top 3 favorite game of all time, so I know that game very, very well, and I love seeing all the moments remade. I love everything they did. I love the way the Gold Saucer looks. Like, they did a great job capturing that. I was so blown away the way they did the Haunted Mansion hotel thing.
Because that was so cool.
That was so random in the original game. There was a hotel, like a haunted hotel thing, and they
I want to go there.
Right, I was thinking like it'd be an awesome theme park. And the whole story with Barrett and like his backstory was done fantastic.
Yes.
It was
I should mention that. Yeah, the stuff with Barrett. I haven't cried at all to this game, but man, if one part did or almost made me cry, it was the backstory for Barrett was so beautifully done. I definitely was getting emotional at those scenes. That was really, really well done.
Even though I know it was gonna happen with Dine and like him being Marlene's real father and everything. They did a great job capturing it. I mean, it was still kind of odd seeing their arm get shot, and like there was blood, but there wasn't like any like gore effects or anything.
It was a very T for teen depiction of losing your arm.
Yeah, it was like that in the original too, which is it always kind of threw me off. But I like that. That makes more sense in 1997, but in this game, it just throws me off completely. But
yeah, it's kind of weird.
Yeah, but I can live with that. They did Nine's story so well. That whole Barrett's backstory was so well, and they've done everybody justice. I think that's one of the best things, that they made every character really likable, have a great backstory. Everybody has an understandable reason they're doing what they're doing. They really flesh out the characters. I love all the relationship stuff. I love the little things you can do with all your friends, like little character moments. The dialogue's all fantastic. I think that's why this game is going to be praised, and I think it's going to be nominated for Game of the Year and all that. Is because the story and the characters and the dialogue is so strong that it overshadows all the negatives that we talked about. And I think the combat is so strong, which is the core of the game. The gameplay is so strong that I think people can live with any of the problems it has. So I think people overall are going to love this game. So even despite all its flaws, I think people are going to praise the hell out of this game all year. I think it's the perfect 9 out of 10 game. In terms, like the way I could describe it, like it has its flaws. It's not masterpiece. It's not on that level of like last year, like Baldur's Gate or Tears of the Kingdom, but it's definitely a tier below that. And there's nothing wrong with it. It's a fantastic game. And I'm super excited to see where the story goes. I mean, I think I pretty much have an idea of where it's going at this point. I think it's starting to become pretty obvious. I mean, it seems very meta. It's not. I'm only guessing. I'm not. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm guessing Sephiroth has control of the ghost guys, and he knows what's going to happen. He's changing the storyline, and I'm guessing Aerith is aware. I feel like she's always been aware that she you know what, and I think is building up to like I feel like it's all meta. Like, I feel like everybody's aware, or not everybody, but I feel like the main characters,
certain characters are aware
because she's an ancient and she has connections.
I can tell you for a fact that from where I am, certain characters are aware of what's going to happen, but I won't say any more than that.
I know like Zack's still alive, which is not a spoiler because that was in the first 10 minutes, first 10 minutes of the game. I feel like because what happened at the end of the first game is like they created like a divergent timeline where Zack's still alive and things like that. So I'm trying to.
I will say one story beat.
Go ahead.
One story beat that does annoy me, and this is just a little thing. Cloud has too many fucking degradation headaches. Every single cutscene is him seeing Sephiroth doing nothing, then seeing Sephiroth again, then getting another headache, then seeing him again. I'm like, it's not a big deal. I'm complaining at this point, but like, it is a little annoying. It's like I kind of wish they would just.
Yeah.
I know it's degradation, right? So I know it's supposed to. It's going to take time for him to completely degrade. But as a mechanic, like mechanically or story plot beat, I understand it. But it does get annoying to see Cloud gripping his head every 10 fucking minutes and be like, bro, just take some ibuprofen. Like, can we please like just move forward?
Yeah. I know what you mean. It's gonna only get worse from here. So, because I know what happens in the original game. So, yep. There's gonna be more Cloud headaches.
Yeah. I mean, Final Fantasy always ends up happily for everybody involved. So I think it'll end up just fine.
Yeah. I can't even answer that because I don't want to give you the ending of the actual game. Because I have no idea where. Well, one thing is, this game has followed the original storyline pretty much to a T. If you exclude like the ghost and Sephiroth just randomly appearing and he actually does that in the original game too, but he does it even more so in this one. if you exclude the Zack stuff and that and the ghosts and all that, like this game is followed the original to a T. So it's following the same exact story beats. I'd imagine this game is going to end around where the Black Materia thing and all that. So I'm sure that's going to be where and all that stuff. So I think I know where it's going. I'm just curious what the third game is going to be because they already have the open world built now. So are they just going to add on to the open world? They haven't even done the Wu-Tai stuff yet, so I don't know if that's going to be in the third game or if it's in this one. I don't know, but we'll see. Because that was a whole world, but that was an optional world in the original game. Like, you didn't even have to go there. And Yuffie was always a side character, too. So, I'm sure they're going to...
I am saying nothing.
It's a big storyline, too. So, I don't know where you go. Like, because, like, we hit on a huge chunk of the game's the storyline now. So, it's like, what is the third... How much can you do in the third game? But I can talk to you about that after the show. I don't want to like get into spoilers for other people. I won't spoil it for you either, but they must really be padding out one section, which I'll tell you after the show. All right. Okay. So that's our show. I feel like we hit on everything at this point.
Yeah.
We're just going to circles.
I think it's safe to say, I wanted to reiterate this for people listening that Seb and I still love this game. It's an excellent
still
game.
My game of the year as of right now.
Absolutely going to be my GOTY list. Probably top 5. I don't see it dropping any lower than that. The combat is chef's kiss. Yeah. The story, the characters, the writing, the music. It's just a lot of the open world elements I'm not a huge fan of, but that's not surprising. I'm very very picky about my open world games. I love Horizon Zero Dawn and the sequel even more, but I can generally be very picky about open world games. Seb and I both. Yeah. But even we both think that this is an excellent game.
My opinion is exactly the same as Dory. I think I pretty much agree with everything she said in this topic. I think like Horizon has a better open world because it's 25 hour game rather than like a 58 plus 200 hour game. This game is 200 hours to platinum, so Horizon only took me like 30 something hours to platinum, which I think is perfect for an open world game. I think it had just enough content where it didn't feel overwhelming. But if Horizon was like 80 hours, then I would have felt that same.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean that's part of it, right? It didn't take me 50 hours to get to the end of Horizon Zero Forbidden West. I think Forbidden West took me 30 hours, 40 hours.
Right.
And I chose to spend more time in that world also, so that's different.
Yeah, it only took me 30 something hours because I followed a guide and stuff. Just know where the collectibles are and stuff. So, I agree with everything Dory said. We're on the same wavelength. It's our second favorite game. It's my game of the year so far. But I don't think it's going to get any... I think it's going to be my top 5. I'm pretty confident it's going to be my top 5. I don't see anything knocking it out. Like, there have to be games that really blow me away, which is always possible, right? Like I didn't expect Baldur's Gate 3 to be my game of the year last year. Like, I was very confident Tears of the Kingdom was going to be that. And then Baldur's Gate just blew everybody away. So, you never know. It's only March, but I'm pretty confident this game will be my top 5. So that's our show. Next week we will wrap it up our discussion of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. We're both near the end, or I'm getting there. I'm like maybe 70% into the game, 65 or something. Dory's pretty much right there. So
I'm pretty much right there.
Yeah. So we'll have this. We will both have this game finished, and I can finally play something else because I've been down.
I know. Other games. Oh, so expect me to have early impressions of the Thaumaturge next week. That is probably the game I'm going to buy next. It got not really good reviews, but it got like solid reviews. It looks right up my alley. Yeah. I've been looking for something Disco Elysium-esque since, again, that studio is basically dead. Yeah. And IGN gave it a sacred 8. It did not give them a 7. Yeah. So I know that game's got to be cooking. So I'm going to probably start playing that once I beat Final Fantasy, and I'll probably have early impressions next week. Probably. Yeah.
I'm going to talk about Tales of Two Sons remake. Yes. I have it. I played like half an hour of it before Final Fantasy VII Rebirth came out, and then I haven't played it since. But now that Final Fantasy VII is almost over, I will have that game beat. The Platinum is very easy. It's exactly the same as the original game, which is not that long of a game. And also we'll be talking about As Dusk Falls, and I'm thinking maybe talk about Pentiment too, but I don't know if I have time for that. But unless there's a lot of news, next episode might be very impressions heavy. So we'll see. You never know. All right. You have a good night, Dory. Thanks for joining me, and see you later. Peace.